Hi and welcome to STEM and leaf diagrams. Now before we start, just a reminder that there is a notes jotter available for this video. Check the description below for a download link and you can work along with me as we go through the video. Okay, so we are first told that here are the numbers of people in a restaurant on the first 15 days in December. Show the data on an ordered stem and leaf diagram. Well, the question is, what does stem and leaf actually mean? Well, what it means is that each of the numbers that we start out with, so 24, what we're going to do is we're going to split it into a stem, which in this case is going to be the tens, and a leaf, which is going to be the units. And the stem is what is shown on this section of the diagram. So just like on a plant, we have a stem which goes all the way through the centre. And so what we have in our numbers, we have tens, we have 20s, we have 30s, and we have 40s. And therefore, we're going to need a stem of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go through the list and we're going to write down all of the leaves. So in the first number, 24. Well, I've already got the 2 for the 20, so I'm just going to write a number 4 and then a little comma. Next up, I've got 21. So I've already got the 2 for the 20, so I just need to write down the leaf 1. Next I have 13, so I write the 3, and then I have 33. Well, I already have the 30, so I'm just putting the units down. I have 41, so I already have the 40, so I write down the 1, and I keep going. 25, 29, 11, 47, 44, 28, 30, so 30 in the 30s column, 39, 48, 35. Now, this is not an ordered stem and leaf, and the reason for that, the numbers are not in numerical order. So all I'm going to do is now I'm going to rearrange this. So I'm just going to place the stems on again, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm now just going to reorganize everything so that the leaves that I wrote in are now in the correct order. So the 3, 1 will become 1, 3. In the 20s section, well, the lowest one I've got is 1, and then 4, and then 5, and then 8, and then 9. In the 30s section, the lowest is 0, then 3, then 5, then 9. And in the 40s, it's 1, 4, 7, 8. And then we have a key. The key is the most important part when it comes to a stem and leaf diagram, because otherwise, how would people know how to actually read a piece of information from here? And what we use for the key is generally the very first piece of information we see. So that is 1/1. And 1/1, what does that actually represent? Well, in this case, it represents the number 11. And so we need to show that we take the stem and the leaf and bring them back together in order to make a single number. So next we're just going to look at what sort of information we can actually get from a stem and leaf diagram. So what we have here is that Dylan recorded how long he spent on the internet each day for 15 days and recorded the data in a stem and leaf diagram. And so all of this is already ordered. We have our key that tells us that 2/3 represents 23 minutes. So what that means is we take the stem and the leaf, bring it together and we make our value. And we've been asked to calculate the mode time. So mode means the most common. Now, what we're looking for here, if you're looking for the mode, you're looking for a group of digits where they are repeated. So we've got 0, 3, 4, 6, 7. None of those are repeated, but then we have 8 and 8. That is repeated. If we keep going, 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, 2, 3, 5. None of those are repeats. So the only time that we have more than one of the same value is with the 8s. But the mode time, we need to remember what that 8 actually represents. That 8 is 2/8. And so the mode time is 28 minutes. It is the only time in this case which is repeated. Now, if there were any more that were repeated, it would be the largest group of the same value, which would be the mode. Next, we're asked to calculate the modal group. Now, modal group means the group which has the most in it. And so what we just need to look at here is which of the categories is the longest. So the 20s section is this long, the 30s section is this long, and the 40s section is this long. And so quite clearly, the group 20 to 29 minutes is the modal group. It's the one that was done most often. Then we come to the median. Now, the median is where the stem and leaf diagram really helps, because all of these values, basically it's a way of listing all of the values in a much clearer way, but they're already in order as well. And so if we want to find the median, all we need to do is count in from the largest and smallest values until we reach the middle. And so all I'm going to do is underline the smallest and biggest value, the smallest and the biggest, the smallest and the biggest, the smallest and the biggest. Now this one takes us to the 9 in the 30s, smallest and biggest, smallest and biggest, smallest and smallest and biggest, and it leaves us with this 1 right in the middle. Now that 1, again, we just need to remember that that is actually 3/1, and so that is a median of 31 minutes. So on average, we've said from the mode that it was around 28 minutes. On average from the median, we're saying 31 minutes. And finally, for the range, if I want to find the range of the time, we need to think about what is the largest number. Well, the largest number is the last value in the list. That is 4/5, 45. The smallest value in the list is the first one, 2/0, which is 20. So 45 take away 20, well, that is 25 minutes. And so from one diagram, we've managed to find all of those different averages and a measure of spread. And lastly, we're going to look at what is known as a back-to-back stem and leaf diagram. And the back-to-back stem and leaf diagram is used to compare two different data sets together. So in this case, we've got the ages of men and women visiting a gym yesterday. And the men, we've got all of our values, they're already in the correct order, and the same for the women. And so we're going to create a diagram. And so in this case, the stem is right in the middle of the diagram. And if we look, the men, we've got numbers in the 10s, numbers in the 20s, numbers in the 30s, and 1 in the 40s. And therefore our stems are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so we're going to have men on one side and women on the other side. Now I'm going to begin with the women just because this one looks like the type that we've already been doing. So if we just ignore the left hand side, we can just deal with the women as they are here. So 21 is the first one, so 1, and then 23, and then 23, then 23, 24, 27, 28, 30, 31, 31, 33. For the men, we have to be slightly careful with what we do here because as it is a back-to-back, it means this one actually works in the other direction. So the men, we have 9/1. For the 22 that comes next, it's going to be a 2 here, but then we're going to work in towards the left. So 4 and 5 and 7. And then in the 30s, it's going to be 1 and 2. And 7, and 7, and 7, and then 43. Now the key here, we actually need two different keys. So for the key, for men, we need to say that 9/1 equals 19, and for women, that 2/1 makes 21. That is so that we know how to read both sides of the diagram. Now, what we've been asked to do is to compare the ages of the men and women visiting the gym. Now, if we're going to do that, if you're going to compare data sets, the first thing is you need to compare some averages, and then we also need to compare a measure of spread. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the median, as that is an average I can find. I'm going to find a mode, and I'm going to find the range. And I'm going to do that for men and for women. So men, women. So the median for the men, all I'm going to have to do is, like we did before, take the smallest and largest, the smallest and largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest, and it leaves us here. So the median for the men is 31. If I do it for the women, well, the smallest and the largest, smallest and largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest, smallest, largest, well, that leaves me with the 27, so 27 for the women. If we go to the mode, we are looking for groups of the same value. Well, the largest group of the same value we've got for the men is the 7s here, so 37 is the mode. For the women, we have 3 3s here, we have 2 1s here, so the 3s are the larger group, and so that tells us that the mode is 23. And then finally, if I wanted to find the range, well, the largest value for the men is 43, the smallest is 19, so 43 take away 19, well, that equals 24. The women, well, the largest value is 33, the smallest value is 21, and so that is 12 as the range. And so now my comparison, well, if we look at the averages, the women's average for mode and median is lower than the men. So we can say that on average, women are younger. And then based on the measure of spread, the range, well, the women's range is lower. Now what that means is it's more consistent. So the ages of women are more consistent. And so we've compared the men and the women by using averages and a measure of spread. And finally we come to the exam question. This was on the Edexcel paper in June 2018 and it was on Foundation Paper 3. And it says that here are the marks 20 students got in a French test. Show this information in a stem and leaf diagram. Now, this always must be an ordered stem and leaf, and in the case of this actual question, there was enough room to either draw your own version of the stem and leaf first, which was unordered, or if you wanted to write the numbers out in order. Now what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to write the numbers out in order just to make sure that I definitely get everything in the right place. So the lowest value that I have is 64, and I'm marking them as I go as well just to make sure that I definitely have every value that I need. If I look into the 60s, I've also got a 67, I've got the number 69 and the number 69 again, and then that's all of the 60s. So then into the 70s I have the number 70, I have another 70, I have 71, I have next up would be 75, 76, 76 again, 77, that's all of the 70s. So then into the 80s I have 80, 80, 81, 81, 82 and 84, 87, and that's all of the 80s. So lastly just 91 and 94. So I've definitely now got every single value as I've marked them off as I went. So now I just need to think about my stems. Well, my stems are going to start with 60, 70, 80 and 90, and I just need to fill in the numbers that I've got as I go through. So I've got 64, I've got 67, 69, 69, 70, 70, 71, 75, 76, 76 and 77, 80, 80, 81, 81, 82, 84, 87 and 91, 94. Now, that is not everything. There is something missing from our diagram, and it's the most important element, and it's the piece which on its own is actually going to get you a mark on the exam. It is your key. You must always include that key whenever you are asked to draw a stem and leaf diagram. And so in this case, 6/4 equals 64. Now, what we were told here is one of these students is going to be chosen at random. The pass mark in the French test is 71. Omar writes the probability that this student failed the French test is 1/4. Omar is wrong. Explain why. Well, if 71 was the pass mark, how many people have failed? Well, that is one person, two people, three people, four people, because they got less than 70, but then a fifth and a sixth person. So 6 people failed. How many people were there in total? Well, we were told at the start that there were 20 students, and so 6 people out of 20 failed. And so, is 6/20ths the same as a quarter? Well, 6 out of 20 is 3/10. That is not the same as a quarter. In fact, a quarter would have been 5 out of 20, and so that is the reason he is not correct.